Hello, my friends, my family, my dear colleagues. I was asked to explain CAD. CAD is a shortcut for cold agglutinin disease. Now, this is type of anemia that occurs in some people when they're exposed to cold temperatures. It is not common, so number one, I was not really aware of it, but then even now being aware of it, it will not help too many people exposing it, but it is classified as autoimmune disease. So now this is an opportunity to explain the indoctrination and our poor understanding of health and body in general, and the inability of licensed doctors to do any kind of healing because they simply do not understand the body. Now, why this disease or syndrome or whatever you want to call it is a good example? Well, because it is classified as autoimmune disease. It's triggered by your own autoimmune system. Now, before we even go and talk about it, let's see what are the symptoms. Since I'm not really familiar with disease, so we'll go to the list of symptoms. Tiredness, bingo, all right. Remember, tiredness, dizziness, headache, dark urine, chest pains, vomiting, diarrhea, heart problems, arrhythmias. Okay, and when blood is analyzed, what is found? That blood particles are very close together. The red blood cells are really covered with a specific protein, agglutinin, which is produced by many cells during the healing process. Okay, so causes, okay, let's see what they say. What causes this? Could be bacterial infection. So if you find bacteria in such a blood, that's bacteria. It's not autoimmune. Parasitic infection. So if you find parasites, it's probably parasites, probably not autoimmune problem. Now, other autoimmune diseases could cause it. Well, one symptom causes another one. That's another good one, very often used. And for one, they mentioned lupus. Figure it out. And certain types of cancers. Okay, cancer, particular type can cause this also. Wow. Okay. Now, the treatment, now because it is revealing the problem with agglutinin, so we have to put some medication that is going to prevent its formation and attack it, and basically this is what we do. You find something, you think that this is the cause, and you attack it. You find bacteria, you think bacteria is the cause, you attack it. You find fungus, you attack it. You don't find nothing, you say it's virus, we can do nothing but weather it out, no? You find albumins, we gotta attack them. You find increased level of sugar, bam, attack the sugar making mechanism, okay? Always destroy and normalize. You find tachycardia, slow down the heart with suppressants. You find increased blood pressure, well, slow down the freaking heart and use beta blockers, relax the blood vessels, so there is more volume, so there is less blood actually there. You cannot increase the blood pressure, because blood pressure, that's a problem. Why is there? Don't worry about it. We don't know, so we'll deal with what we know how to do. Now, causes, we have mentioned. Now let's go back to symptoms. Tiredness. What causes tiredness? Lack of energy. What is energy? Electricity. So when your cells cannot hold electric charge because they are acidic, you feel lethargic, you feel out of energy, tired, your brain feels foggy, your memory is not that good, and neither is your stimulation to do something. You go in depression. Now, why cells do not hold the voltage? Because they are overly acidic. Why they are overly acidic? Because they are dehydrated. A long process. So it occurs in elderly people. Now, what causes dizziness? What causes diarrhea? What causes loose stool? Blood detox. Detox of heavily toxic blood. When it's cleansed through mucosal tissue. So this means that the individual with these symptoms is also undergoing cleansing process. So not only that it is dehydrated on cellular level, the blood is toxic and it is in process of detoxifying. Also what will occur is dark urine. Well, this is another symptom. It says dark urine. Okay? So more and more we are approaching diseases from the aspect of physics, ignoring the biochemistry. The simpler it becomes to describe every symptom that happens in the body, and we realize that all these symptoms that we have here, we can attribute to many chronic illnesses. Lupus to start with, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay? Just mentioning few. All the same symptoms. Now, what is difference in COD? That people can seemingly be normal, and all of a sudden temperature drops and they show these symptoms. Well, what is temperature drop? It's a frequency change. The body responds to it. And if it is on verge, if it is so toxic and on verge of showing already the symptoms, this is going to be the drop that spills the coffee. And not surprisingly, it is more common in elderly women. Why? Well, they have passed the menopause. So they are no longer eliminating toxic blood on regular basis. And the body is now experiencing higher and higher levels of toxicity in the blood, which will carry all these symptoms that are mentioned down before. And now temperature drop that lowers even more the electric charge. Why do cells in the blood start grouping together? They say, no, it's autoimmune disease, because agglutinin usually is done in fight, antibody, antigen, when albumins are being produced and they bond things and they create coagulum. Utter nonsense. This is what our educated and highly esteemedly educated and glorified experts are telling us, and they can come with this because they absolutely do not understand the body. They do not understand when blood is low on plasma, it is denser. And this increases the blood pressure. And now, as it is denser, it's not as good electroconductor. So the voltage drops. And when the voltage in the blood drops, all the blood elements decrease their magnetic fields because electromagnetism drops as well. So they don't repel each other anymore, they start getting closer and closer. They start banging to each other, they damage each other. As the reparation, they start producing albumins to repair themselves. But again, they are not being kept away. And they keep clanging and it becomes a mush. We have microthrombosis going on. Because coagulum appearing like coagulum happens. So we have to dilute the blood. Yeah, right away, bingo, there goes aspirin. Or stronger stuff. What is that? It's not diluting blood, it's basically anticoagulating agent that is supposed to prevent formation of these things, which it cannot really do. It still continues because it has nothing to do with platelets and coagulation. It is lack of electrical charge, very low magnetic fields. And you don't help them by poisoning the body further with medication. Natural, plant-based or pharmaceutical. You just don't do nothing, you're just poisoning the body. And people are told, no, you got to use this because you have to dilute your blood. You dilute blood by drinking plasma, by increasing plasma levels. And you are making the blood more conductive, increasing the electrical strength and strength of the electromagnetic field that will separate the particles and dilute the blood. Okay, well, I told you before, the autoimmune disease, it's a scapegoat just to save honor of doctors who have absolutely no clue what they're doing. And other than prescribing medication, reading the symptoms and prescribing medication, nothing else. And worsening your health because your body is getting more and more polluted. So, all these millions of diseases that we have created, diseases, and names we staple them with, are completely worthless and useless. If doctors cannot prevent it, doctor doesn't understand it. And if he cannot understand it, he cannot help you. And it always does exactly the opposite. So colleagues, this is directed directly to you. You gotta start absorbing the new knowledge. Forget about biochemistry, forget all that baloney we have to remember. Forget about the pharmaceutical. Yeah, they are okay as a symptomatic treatment of someone who is about to die, to try to keep him alive a little longer, so maybe healing can start afterwards. But you cannot use medication for healing. So unless critical situation is occurring, forget about medicines. It's all about cleansing, not adding toxicity to the body, but deducting it, taking it away. And that's how healing is achieved. Again, completely contrary to everything what we are being told. It is very common when you go to high altitudes, not because of only of the cold, but lack of oxygen. There are many problems. And then if you are toxic, On top of it, many people are throwing up their guts climbing high mountains. Okay, so it's always, remember, nausea is always symptom of toxicity in the stomach, toxic mucus. And how it gets there? It being excreted with the mucus from the blood. So whenever you have nausea and you did not eat anything that you can pinpoint it, oh, I ate something bad, well, you have extremely toxic blood that is in a process of cleansing, and it's using your mucosal tissue to do the job. We always find a boogeyman and try to pin it on this boogeyman. And then we think, okay, now we are safe. Same is with ulcer, stomach ulcer. As soon as you find Helicobacter, oh, okay, here we are. We found Helicobacter. Now we know what it is. Here is antibiotic. Well, the fact that you don't heal it, this doesn't bother you at all. Well, we just didn't manage to kill it all. I don't know what other excuse you can have. Because the poor Helicobacter has nothing to do with ulcer. It is there because the stomach doesn't have the correct pH. Stomach should be acidic, should destroy Helicobacter if it comes from the intestines. Just the mere fact that it's there, it means that the person is having wrong diet. And this is the cause of the ulcer. But no, this is too brainy for a doctor of medicine. They have no time to think. They are too busy prescribing and regurgitating all this nonsense they had to memorize during studying. So, here we go again. Another disease, another false, another pure symptoms of toxic body, nothing else. And symptoms triggered additionally through exposure to cold weather, which causes drop of electrical power, voltage in the body, because it's used for heating the body and protecting it, and now it's not enough for other things that have to be done, especially lowers the electromagnetic field of blood cells and causes them to clump. Thank you for listening. I hope it makes sense. I hope you are starting to think and starting to have a different view on things. It's tough because when we are trusting the system, we are trusting our professor, we are trusting the science, they say, well, we have to trust the science. Yeah, but which science? You trust Fauci's science, you are doomed. Thank you for being here. Love you all.